Yes, good morning. I know it's Tuesday and I said I was going to start not doing live on Tuesdays, but it's a weird week. Yesterday a lot of people had off. Um so I figured I didn't go live yesterday, didn't feel like it, didn't know what it was going to be like. Um been down. I've been kind of down on a lot of things right now. Having the flu for a week didn't help. Start over SST, we just started. So I figured we'd look at some loads, some low boards, start looking at some locations and seeing what the rates look like this week. I had to book one load yesterday and it was pretty easy. It was just like that, got the rate that I wanted, and it was exactly what we needed, and that's it. And then I think I'm done for the week. I have to get my DOT physical done this week, so that's going to be fun. Then I got to deal with the truck. My APU died during the cold weather, so I'm thinking that either the fuel filter is blocked or a belt gave out because the APU doesn't even want to come on. So I'll have to jump start the truck. And then eventually I need to get the truck and trailer in for a DOT inspection and see if this thing's ready to go on the road, because might have to get back on the road. So no big deal. I got a couple of clients probably starting next week, so there's that. But I would like to get the truck road ready, just in case things kind of fall apart or I need some extra cash. So, I hope everybody had a good Christmas. I hope you're not dealing with that stuff there in Buffalo, New York. That's some wild stuff, man. I used to live up there near Ithaca, and I remember as a little kid, to have a snow day was rare. But when he had them, it was some major snow. You'd wake up, ready to go to school, and there would literally be a foot of snow on the ground, if not more, which only meant, snow sledding for us. I don't remember it being so bitterly cold that you couldn't go out, but I do remember the snowfall. Like 1 minute, you're good, and the next minute there's 2 feet of snow, and you get your toboggan. You know, basically it was a big orange boat that you slid down the hill with, and that was your snow day. Those were good times. That was when I was living on a farm. I know this is all interesting to you, but anyways, I hope everybody's safe and sound from that. This bomb cyclone cold weather snap, man. I noticed there's a lot of YouTube and Facebook footage of everybody's fuel gelling up, which I kind of knew that was going to happen because my APU did not run. A little bit of gelling what happened underneath the bottom of the fuel filter there. So I have not started the truck. It's supposed to get up in the 50s, 60s at the end of this week, so I'll probably fire it up then and see what happens. Other than that, I'm just kind of contemplating at the end of the year, and just trying to kind of wrap things up, get everything organized for the taxes. And Missouri, we got to pay our property taxes, which for business owners can be pretty expensive. Actually, for anybody, whether resident or business, or like in my situation, both, it could be pretty expensive, especially if you got a lot of personal toys. So that's something else that we got to deal with as well. And then I got to cook a big ass beef brisket probably tomorrow. That we're going to cook for Christmas. Christmas was completely shot, just gone. I was recovering from the flu, and the wife was down. She was in bed most of day before, day after, and the day after Christmas. She came out briefly to open presents, and that was it. My son's been down with it, and my daughter seemed to escape it. So that's how I kind of know it's the flu because she got the flu vaccine. Although the wife did too, so who knows? Um, I probably just made my dollar sign yellow by just saying that word. But anyways, um, so yeah, it's been kind of a melancholy holiday this year. Holidays are usually weird for me, anyways. Um, I don't know. I'm inside my head a little bit too much. So let's get to the chat here, and I've got 1, 2, 3 fired up here, and we'll take a look at some loads and see what volumes look like on the DAT, and kind of go from there. So, Gary, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Jerome, good morning. Desert Okie Pam, good morning. Oh, you know what, Pam? I forgot I was going to call you. You need to just text me to remind me that you wanted to talk to me. I completely spaced it. There's a lot of people that I haven't talked to in a while that I feel really bad because I've just been kind of, I don't know, man. I've been zoning out, really, to be honest with you. I've not thought about trucking, dispatching. Now, I will say this, though. Jeff sent me a bunch of these flyers. It's upside down. Jeff sent me a bunch of these flyers that we got for the look at that glossy. These are pretty nice. They're for the brokerage. So there's that. And hopefully you get that on the ground because it's going to be 2023 is going to be an interesting year. I'll say that. So SST, good morning. Mr. Bill, good morning. Mr. Mallory, hope you're doing well. How are things going over there at the Big O? Big Rig CO. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Start over. They're finally going to start looking at my truck today. Let's hope for the best. Either way, hoping it'll be back up for the end of the week. Well, keep me posted, and hopefully you will. Hopefully everyone's staying safe in this recent brutal weather system. Yeah, Buck, it was like it was just a tough week last week, man. We had a driver with some I had two drivers with mechanical issues, one at Like and one of the ones that I dispatched, and it's amazing. So I didn't get a chance to talk about this last week. But so I had a driver that blew an airbag or blew a drive tire, and it blew an airbag. Now, if you guys aren't, this is why I say cut your costs as low as possible, because that one road call cost $2,000 to get a tire, get the airbag, the fee to come out, and the fee to fix. $2,000. But the worst part was that he lost a whole week. He was supposed to empty out Monday morning, and he didn't get rescheduled till Thursday morning. By that time, and luckily he was supposed to have been home on the 20th, Tuesday. So we were going to look for a shorty and then be done. And of course we didn't do that. So he lost a whole week. And had to sit in the truck and had to run the reefer because they couldn't get him in till Tuesday or Thursday morning. By then, if you wanted to run, there were some good rates on Friday, but he was scheduled to go home. So, that's how. I mean, one repair. I mean, and that happened to another one of my drivers. He had one repair that literally just lost his whole week. And Don, he's dealing with that right now. His truck went down a little like a week early. So, but with the weather being the way it was probably a blessing there, Don. So, and for my other driver too, because by Thursday morning the storm started rolling in, and there wasn't much that you could do anyways. So he just went home. Fran, good morning. Clyde, good morning. Jason, good morning. Jason, you're a lifesaver for the holidays this year. Thank you very much. Just saying good morning. Hope you have some strong coffee. I do. I got my cool dad mug because I am a cool dad. This is how sick I was. I wouldn't even drink coffee last week. Can you believe that? CDN, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope your holiday was fantastic. Beetle Bailey, good morning. Lance Calhoun, good morning. Trucker Dean Show, good morning. Waved at you as I went through Springfield this morning. Pilot only had 2 DEF pumps working. I'm surprised they even had that with that cold weather. That crappy insulation that falls apart that they put over those pumps. Man, that's just no bueno on that. And we got back into it. We started to warm up yesterday, and then we got another cold spell. So, but we should be in the 40s, 50s by the end of the week. So, it was a blessing in disguise. We had quite a bit of stuff to go on at the house. It was good. I was home for. That's how you have to look at this, especially as an owner operator. You have to look at the bad with the good. You have to look at the silver linings, because if you don't look for the silver linings, if you don't look for the blessings, if you don't look for the gratitude, this industry will just tear you apart. I remember, and I've told this story many times. But when I was down with my turbo in a hotel room, looking at a $10,000 repair, why was it so expensive? Because the manifold bolts were breaking. And it was a Kenworth dealership that I had gone to. It was for my Peterbilt. St. Louis, spending money on hotel and everything. I had a couple of friends ask me, call me up and say, how are you not losing your mind right now? And I said, well, I've got a hotel. It's literally across the street from the shop. The shop has got good reviews. I have the means to pay for this turbo repair. And what else is there? I mean, it could have been worse. I avoided a tow bill. Normally if you blow a turbo, you're paying for a tow bill as well. And yeah, so I mean, you have to look at the gratitude. Now, in hindsight, I learned a lot from that experience. Number one, probably could have gone home. I was only in St. Louis. Should have went to a Cummins shop instead of a Kenworth shop. And I lost more time because they didn't replace the turbo actuator. And everybody privately told me that usually causes the turbo go out, not the other way around. The shop kind of flip-flopped that, but they went ahead and replaced the turbo actuator. They felt so bad on the time because they admitted that they should have checked that. They didn't charge me the labor for the turbo actuator, which added another $1,000 to the whole situation. That's why it was so high. So, caffeine withdrawal is real. I don't know. I don't do too bad if I if I get off coffee for a minute. Daniel Adami, good morning. 57 deaths in Buffalo, New York snowstorm. Wow. that they know of. As soon as they start unburying those cars, they're going to find some pretty gruesome stories there. So yeah, prayers and thoughts to those people. My police scanner had an alert on Buffalo because there's when more than 2,000 people are listening to a certain area, I'll get a notification for that. Usually means there's a natural weather event or a tornado or shooting, something like that. I've been exceedingly happy to be home for the last 3 weeks. Sold my hood truck and looking ahead for a new adventure. Velox, I have not been keeping up. I know that you were trying to sell your truck, so congrats on being able to sell it. Because I know that if I wanted to sell my truck right now, I'd probably have a hard time with it. So good on you. Hopefully, good luck in your new adventure. So I don't know what your next venture is. Have you announced it? If you have, I need to go check out your channel there. I was shut down in Wyoming, which at first I thought there goes my week because I lost a load. Ended up with a better load and got my hours back. Good deal, James. Um, you see that's how it goes though. Sometimes you have happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say. Um, sometimes the load cancels. Like that happened at Schneider all the time. Schneider was awesome in the sense that if a load canceled, you just went back to the board and went click. And sometimes it was a better load than you had before. And it upped your revenue. So, it's always changing. Yeah. So, all right. Everybody's asking if he's getting a new truck. Now he's playing hard to get. Wait and see. Beetle says, did you get full price on the truck or did you cut the price down for a quicker sale? Either way, it's probably still more than what he paid for it, or at least got upside down. At least you're no longer upside down. Russell Freight Services, good morning. I've been off by choice for 2 weeks, knee deep in grandkids and Jack Daniels. Look, I mean, that was probably normally I think this is how my year began last year was that the first load I did was the day after Christmas, and it was a load of pallets coming out of Joplin coming back to Springfield. I got like $800. So I showed up at the Casey's distribution center there in Joplin, brand new. It's right down the road from the Kenworth dealership, and went in there and gave them my pickup number, and they were looking at me like, huh? It was a convoy load. I remember this clearly. And so this other driver was in there. He had the same number I did. So finally, Casey's came out, and the shipping clerk said, look, guys, we don't even have enough product to fill one truck, let alone two. And your pickup numbers are no good anyways. We don't even know where this number's from. So I called up Convoy, and they're like, okay, well, you're going to have to stay there while we confirm this. After about 2 hours, I went back in there. I called Convoy. I'm like, look, man, I need to get on with the rest of my day because I had to be home. This was a perfect fill-in load while I waited for something to go on, later that week. And they're like, no, you got to stay there. So finally, at one point, I went into the shipping office. I called Convoy, actually handed the phone over to the shipping person for them to physically tell them that there is no load here. Later on, I would find out that they wanted me to stay there for 4 hours for the tow new. In other words, they were doing everything they can. Because here's the thing. Some of these places make you sit there for 4 hours in order for you to collect your tow new. Well, I mean, your load failed. So now I got to get on the load board, and I'm not going to sit there and wait for 4 hours watching all the good loads go by It's a horrible system. So finally, Convoy gave me the okay, but they fought a little bit on that Tonu. I think it took them 3 days to pay that one. It was just moronic, right? So I basically got a buck a mile, when you factor in the deadhead and all that. But I lost my whole day, over $150. So that was how my first load out of after Christmas happened for me. Velox sold it for much less than I wanted, but still made a good profit. I have multiple opportunities I'm currently pursuing, some in trucking, some not. There you go. Good morning, Merry Christmas. Hope you didn't miss too much. Dennis, we didn't miss much. Just me hacking up a lung and bitching about last year. So, but it'll be interesting to see what your new adventure is there, Velox. But I've got kind of a busy week because I got to deal with this truck and trailer and get that DOT'd, and who knows if the trailer will even move, and then get a DOT done and get my physical done. So, all right, let's look at some load availability, shall we? So I know a lot of you are probably home. Maybe, I don't know. I know that Sage is working on something. He called me up, asked me what he thought the average owner operator was making this past year. Um, Here, let's go to van. There's your van. Um, Now here's the thing, guys. Here's what's going to be happening. There's probably an excess of trucks down here for obvious reasons. That bomb cyclone affected this whole area right here. And you definitely need to be careful going up in the northeast. You still got a lot of here, let's do this here. You definitely got a lot of weather still going on, especially out west. Here's the weather map. You have some storm warnings here in Arizona, winter. Then you got, I mean, this is always a mess through here, always. But it's calm down here, but you still have New York that's going through some stuff right now. You still got your lake effect snow. So then you still got hard freeze warnings in this area. So the untreated fuel's going to love that. And then you have some wind advisories going on. So, anywho, Tunk to Lansing. Let's see. Let's. Yep. I only did the Tunk a couple of times. That's what the Schneider guys call that. It's P&G there, and I remember during the vid there was a line that went all the way almost to the interstate trying to get into that place. It was crazy. But I only went up there a couple of times, and I got lost. I took a right instead of a left. Oh my gosh, that was, if you know that T intersection, that was horrible. Oh, that was bad. Um, you don't want to get lost in Pennsylvania. Well, let's find the load here, shall we? Let's do the Tunk. The Tunk to Lansing, Michigan. Let's see. Let's do it for Van. And do it for we'll do it for today and tomorrow. We'll do today, tomorrow, Thursday. Oh, we gotta increase this weight on this here. Search. All right. Here's a load paying 50 cents, $50, 13 cents a mile. It's got to be a typo. It's probably meant to be 500, which is still low. Here we go. Carlstadt. Is that how you say that? New Jersey to Weberville, Michigan, 728 miles for 1,500, which is above the average. Of course, you probably want to be somewhere around the $2,000 mark on that. So there's that. That's Michigan is a good spot. Michigan's always got decent freight coming in and out of there. Here's Avondale, New Jersey to Holland, Michigan. A little bit more miles for about $90.95 a mile. Should probably get palletized beverages, so you got to watch the temperature on that. Let's see. Here we go. Rochester to Toledo. They got it at $4 a mile for 1,500, but it's a hazmat, so there's that. Must have. Okay, so this burns my blood right here. This burns my blood. This is why. All right. So here's what the description says. Hazmat must have placards. DOT, they're telling you all the placards that you got to have. So if they mean that the driver must have those placards, so if you call in this load and they tell you, well, you have to have those placards, do not do this load. Because it is the shipper's responsibility to give you your placards. If they do not know what they're doing. And the last thing you want to do is haul a hazmat load of people that don't know what they're doing. You do not want to book a load with people that don't know what they're doing. So if that must have placards is saying that the driver needs to have those readily available, that's wrong. If you'd taken your hazmat test, you would know that. But that's why that load pays so well. I once called on a load when I was at Landstar, and I could barely understand the lady. And in broken English, she asked me if I had placards. And I said, no, that's not my responsibility. He goes, you need placards. You need placards. No, thank you. Have a nice day. She was mad because I wouldn't take the load. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, that doesn't give me faith in humanity when you know, and that was one of the things that, you know, this race to the bottom, that's what this does, right? You get the cheapest people possible doing work that you need to pay quality for. So just let it be known that if you look, I don't know, most of you single truck operator carriers, or you got 10 or 20 trucks, you probably don't have hazmat authority, but if you do, man, I'd be extremely picky about what I pulled. Extremely picky. The easiest one to do is one of the easiest ones to do is fireworks. There's no gray area. There's no different kinds of corrosives that might need numbers, some that don't, some that do. It's just straight, explosive, and you're good to go. That's one of the easier ones. There's no risk of a liquid spill, that or empty totes. But even then, you can kind of get tricky on what kind of placards they need. I've had empty tote loads that required like 3 different placards. So no bueno. Shoemakers, Pennsylvania, to Shelby Township, Michigan. They're at 266 a mile. Alcoholic beverages or non-alcoholic, so you got to watch your freeze protect on that one. So, Grafton, what's up? I do it nonstop since I live here, getting brand new huge payment SFI truck. My rep swears I need to never look elsewhere. I believe that. Pale Rider, what's up? Morning. Hope you're doing well. In your opinion, if a load is listed for above or at an average rate, and you get 500 more than the post, should you feel good? During holiday, I was getting 1,000 more than posting, but I averaged the 500. I mean, look, unless I always ask for more, right? You have to. It depends. I don't always ask for more. Knowing your lane and knowing the market rate and the market value of that lane is important. And also know the challenges. Most loads were paying extra because they wanted them booked before the holiday, but also there's that extra day because a lot of places weren't open yesterday. So, and capacity is in our favor during the holidays. A lot of trucks go home. I know that once I saw that the whole let's try to get that over the holiday run that's going to pay the big bucks. Once I saw that was harder and harder to do, I never played that game. Now what I did do was I usually after the 26th or 27th I usually started running. I would run through New Year's and my birthday. Um and that usually was decent money, but and that's like the best week to be running because as long as the weather was cooperating, it was easy to park. The truck stops weren't full at all. So I mean, it's so if you're getting more than the average, then that's good. I mean, there's quite a few times I got 1,000 above more above what the average was doing. That's a funny title. Morning. Good morning, Shannon. Ran a shorty around home. Now I'm back home, leaving out for the long road tomorrow afternoon for the little rest of the year we have left. Am I doing a load this week? No, I've got to do my DOT physical, and then the truck and trailer need a DOT physical as well. So, like, that's dumb, Steve. You can't have a DOT physical on a truck. But the DOT inspections are due on the truck and trailer. So, but all right, let's look at some Midwest stuff here, shall we? Let's look at if Big Rig is still in here. We'll do Springfield to Dallas. How's that? Or 50-mile each direction, same date, same specs. Hit search. Not a whole lot. A lot of these postings are over 8 hours. Here you go. Kansas City to Duncan, Oklahoma. Axle Logistics. They're at $3 a mile. That picks up today, going to Duncan. Now, your Duncan's going to put you in the Dallas market, obviously. But it could also put you in Oklahoma City's market as well. A lot of times I would just pick up stuff out of Oklahoma City because a little bit more deadhead, but the rate was better. So the overall rate per mile was better. And then I didn't have to deal with Dallas's crap. I know Dallas pretty good. You're going to average between 12 to 1,000 to 1,200 going back and forth to Dallas. Here we got Kansas City to Longview, Texas, which is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Picks up at 1 today. Delivers at 10 a.m. tomorrow, which that's actually not bad. Chicker parking should be a little bit higher. I'd be going 14 on that one because you're going to deadhead a little bit to get out of there. Here's directly Springfield to Dallas. I remember a time when this was normally an $800 load. They've got it posted for 1,000. They're not off the average that much. 45,000 pounds. It's probably a generic weight. SRAM Logistics. Haven't really worked with them a whole lot. They tend to do these multiple postings, though, so that's annoying. See, here we got Springfield to Dallas, Springfield to Hutchins, Springfield to Hutchins, Aurora to Plano. Oh, wait, no, it's a different brokerage. Joplin to Dallas, Rogers to Fort Worth. So they play that game like that other brokers do of switching locations. So that's when you got to really know what you need per mile or for the day, because that skews the amount mileage amount, and also skews the times. That's 373 miles as it's posted Bentonville to Fort Worth, but if you do Springfield to Dallas, it's 418 miles. So it's then Springfield to Hutchins, it's 423 miles. So that's why you got to know both your rate per day and rate per mile. But I despise that. When I see a broker doing that, I usually don't call in their loads. TQL is the exception because you can kind of figure out, what it is by looking at the different postings. Like this is obviously it's something near Springfield. And then, Fort Worth, Plano, Hutchins, that's all in the same area. This Kansas City to Longview, that Stored Freight, they're actually a local brokerage. Um, doesn't list a commodity. It's very possible that that's paper. So, or Coca-Cola. So, I'm irregular route carrier, regular lanes, just not me. I will run regions, but not specific lanes. Well, I mean that's for me. It changes, right? When I'm running full time, you know, the majority of 1 month might be Springfield to Dallas and back. um, Another month it will be Springfield to Columbus and back. And then if it's summertime, I'll go up to Wisconsin and back, or I'll do Michigan and back. Now, that's not how I run the trucks I dispatch, unless that's how they want to run. That nobody I dispatch is from Springfield. Now, Don, he's from northern Missouri, so but his goals are very similar to mine. So I'm able to run him like I would run myself. But for the most part, um, I'm an out and back type person. I don't zigzag all over the place. Um, Depending on the market, sometimes that's beneficial to do it that way. But since I live in a good freight market, it's easy to do. Or I'll do something like, or I'll pick a triangle. Triangle is usually your best bet, regardless of where you live. Um, like a good triangle would be Springfield to Columbus, Columbus to Dallas, Dallas to Springfield, or Dallas to Kansas City, Kansas City to Illinois, Illinois to Ohio, Ohio all the way back to Texas, rinse repeat. So as you guys can see, they upload this board pretty regularly. So let's refresh this. Let's sort it by age. Here's one that's Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. That's Tulsa going to Dallas for only $525. No, but I know who this customer is though. Shrink wrap. I've hauled this not to Dallas but to Springfield. Usually I get a decent rate for it. So that's the thing about knowing your markets is I know what this is. I don't know who the receiver is. I mean, it could be anybody. Here's Enola to Longview, Texas. Probably the same thing. Um, Needs to be a little bit higher. So as you can see, this lane generally runs. Let's look at this one here. Broken Arrow to Grand Prairie. Same damn load. Yep, stretch film. So obviously they're doing the multiple postings as well. I think if I had the you guys want broker transparency. How about you just tell the brokers to post the real cities? How about that? I'd just be happy with that. I don't need broker transparency. I want them to tell me where the hell these places are picking up and going. How about that? Let's see. Let's look at Sethmar, shall we? The credit looks good. Let's take a look at all their loads. 167 possible loads. View loads. That's a good thing about 123 is you can look at all the same broker's loads, see where all their freight is. Obviously, they got stuff out of Iowa, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania. So they got freight all over. Let's take a look at this one. Manteno, Illinois to Joliet, Illinois. That's paying $10 a mile. It's a reefer load, frozen pizza. I guess it's going to Aldi's. So that would depend on the time. Are you going to type her whole day for $450 in good old Chicagoland? So just depends on what you want to do, where you want to go, what your goals are. So check Little Rock to Dallas. Anything for you, my friend? There's 4 loads, and they're all but one are SRAM. So it's only 2 loads. Reality. Fayetteville to Tyler. Looking at 303 a mile or $1,000. So that's probably in that same realm I was just looking at. That's what their credit score looks like. They're a B for Thunder Funding. You're looking at 31 to 37 days of pay. Let's take a look at this load. Bartlett, Tennessee, which is 144 miles away. The Sanger, Texas, 45. A Sanger, that's going to be Walmart. That'd be an easy run at 6,500 pounds. Average rate is about 1,200. But you're looking at a lot of deadhead. And then Sanger, you're going to deadhead to either Ardmore or Dallas to get something out of there. Or, I don't know. Depends. So those are the return loads. Bartlett, Tennessee to Sanger. And then there's 4 loads going right back to Bartlett area. See what that looks like. Fort Worth to Little Rock. There you go. Buffalo. So this would be your Dallas to Memphis. Dallas to Memphis and Memphis to Dallas is usually a decent lane. That's a little low, but it is coming out of Texas. So if Pale Rider ever came to the spot market, I'd hook him up on a Laredo and back kind of a deal, which would be easy to do. No apology necessary, Will Burner. Shipping by real quick to say good morning. Have a great day. TJ, good morning. Can we go back to broker? You can bash broker all you want. Stopping by to say good morning. Have a great day. PA Road's still not the best. Have they ever been? There is broker transport as far as money goes. When you book a load or have it in your truck, it is called Title 49 CFR 371.3, specifically number 4. Number 6, this is what they signed up for. They don't like it. Look, it's a dead topic, but do you go into the convenience store and ask them how much they paid for each bottle of Carbolicious that you're going to poison your body with? No, you don't do that, do you? So broker transparency is stupid. It won't solve your problems. That's the worst part about it, is it will not solve your problems. If they got money to pay and they don't want to come off the money, then that's on them. And if the brokers ever wanted to turn around and ask you how much your costs are, 90% of you are not going to be able to tell them what your costs are. So it's an invalid argument. Because at some point it just doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If you want to go into a convenience store and buy a bottle of water because you have no other options, then you're just going to pay what you're going to pay. And if the number don't work, one time I was at a convenience store attached to a casino out there in New Mexico. I posted a picture of this long time ago. They had a package of hot dogs in the deli section that was literally $8. This was like 6 or 7 years ago. I can't imagine that same package of hot dogs probably like $20 by now. Did I buy that package of hot dogs? Absolutely not. Was I offended slightly? Yeah. Now, what I did do, though, is I asked them, I said, is this the right price on that? And they're like, yeah. They didn't care. They did not care. So, my job is to just deal with what's on your table. And if you feel like you're not making enough money dealing with brokers, then there are other ways to make money driving a truck. It's as simple as that. It really is. You don't have to go direct shipper, but I guarantee you that if you want broker transparency, you're having trouble making relationships with brokers, which is why some people are struggling. And 2023 is not going to be kind to you. Does it hurt when they're trying to offer only $1 a mile or $1.20? Absolutely. Does it suck? Absolutely. Is it infuriating, especially when you can't pay your bills? Absolutely. But that's when you have to take a step back, possibly pivot and change the way that you're doing things. But now, if they short you on payments, yes, then you need to get things rolling, right? But if they're not paying what they promised, then that's a bad deal as well. Shannon, we're doing okay. I'm no longer taking meds other than some cough suppressant. And the wife is on the mend. She's actually at work today. The boy is yet to be determined. I think he said he was feeling better, but we'll see. T-Bone, good morning. I don't understand this brokers are evil thing. I'm very thankful for the brokers. Without them, it would be very hard for a one-man truck to get started. The goal is to grow out of the need of brokers. Yep. No, I look. It's a it's. I think as human beings, we focus on the wrong things. I was having a good conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. In order to be In order to be a self-dispatch truck driver on the spot market, these things are going to help you at least have an easier time of it mentally. Number one, leave your ego at the door. If you see somebody trying to move for a buck a mile, then you just laugh and move on. And don't ever put yourself in a situation where that's your only option. And that's market research. That's research in the lanes that you're moving in. Don't force yourself to be in a situation where that's your only option. So you have to leave your ego at the door. Number two, you can't be emotional. You just can't. If you call on a load and that broker becomes extra emotional with you, calling you a this and that and the other because you're asking for this, that, and the other. And I trust me, I've had brokers do that. I've had brokers literally try to lecture me on what their problems are. They don't care about your problems, but they want me to care about theirs. And it gets to the point where I'm like, look, man, I'm just negotiating on a load here. If you don't want to do this, then have a nice day. I hope things get better for you. I've literally said that. But you don't want to deal with over emotional people. Think about this. The guy that owns my carrier is Jeffrey Light. Like trucking. That's what my hat's. If he was overly emotional every time he went live and bashing different businesses or whatever, would you want to work for him? If your boss, do you see the CEO of Snyder getting on YouTube? Do you see him doing that? No. There's got to be a level of professionalism. There's got to be a level of sales. And if that's beyond what you can handle, then that's where I come in. Hire somebody that can do that for you. And I find that most people that are not making it in the spot market right now are people that they're focused on the wrong things. Their costs are too high. And they aren't able to step up their game when it comes to adjusting, adapting, and overcoming. And my new tagline is it's as simple as that. Because if you don't have the ability to put your emotions at the table, nothing's fair. So that's the other thing. Well, our costs are, $1.80 a mile. How dare they? That's unfair that they want me to move this load for $1.20. If business was fair, you wouldn't have the Walmarts and the Amazons that have taken over the corporate world. If business was fair, every housewife that started a bakery in a strip mall would still be in business. Life is not fair. If the lion eats the gazelle, is that fair for the gazelle or is that fair for the lion? Well, whose perspective is it? That's the reality of the world that you're in. And this everyone gets a participation trophy mindset in business ain't going to work. There's a reason why they're very successful truck drivers that haul, like, for example, Pale Rider. He's completed several leases. He's been at the same company forever, and he does okay for himself. He's happy. Does he have frustrating days? Yes. And so this whole that everybody deserves it, there's that. Oh, it's one of the cell phone commercials where this family comes in and they demonstrate with this lollipop, and the little girl goes, "That's not fair. Why did he get a bigger lollipop than me?" And to display, what fairness should be. Now you can have business with morality, but you have to know that you have a lot of cards as a single truck carrier or a single truck owner operator signed on with somebody. You have so many things stacked against your success. Your parts are more expensive, your truck is more expensive, your fuel is more expensive. You've got no sales team, no lawyer team. You get no compliance team unless you hire that out, which costs money. Weber says, I agree, but in the walk of life, would you rather be the lion or the gazelle? Absolutely. You got to be the lion. Good morning, Steve. What I missed? Not much. Pale Rider says, yep. He doesn't deal with brokers. And I told him if he came to like trucking, he still wouldn't have to deal with brokers. and that's there's so many different ways to make money in trucking. And I don't care what platform you're on or how you do it, but just know that life isn't fair. I don't sit there. You can be sitting there at a truck stop while Pale Rider drives by you, waving at you because he just dropped and hooked at his customer, because his carrier went through the time and effort to get into the customer that you can't get into it with your broker, but his company went in there and were able to drop 10 trailers. Is that fair? Depends on your perspective. Pale Rider just waves at you and like, hey, look, I'm moving. I'm not on a low board fighting for loads. But then the same person in the truck's like, man, that sucks to have to only do your own company's loads, man. I'm sitting here, living freedom by being able to call and book loads. Well, but that there's going to be days when you're not going to find anything there. There's going to be days when there's nothing to book but crap, or you're deadheading out. Every business, regardless, is to make a profit as the number one issue. There's no trophy for second place. Absolutely. Stay under warranty, less stress. And that's Pale Rider waving. And that's I mean, look, I talked to a single loan operator carrier guy at the TA counter one time. We were having this big, it's like 4 or 5 of us in this discussion. It was when I was at Landstar. Man, the coffee's cold. Ugh. Um, and he said that if I want to compete with the big carriers, I realized that I had to do things a certain way. So I just modeled my stuff after them. I get a new truck every 3 years, and each time that I turn the truck in, I owe less and less. And so by the time I've gotten to my 4th truck, my payments are nothing almost, but I still have the warranty, and I just keep doing that every 3 or 4 years. So then I get 2 or 3 fuel cards that have the best discounts regardless of what, chain is near me. because that's what they do. They have their fuel discounts. They got their ways of doing it. I'm sure everybody has noticed that Trucker's Coach has been bragging about the fuel discounts at Swift. Well, we're getting comparative discounts without the mega carrier, so it is possible. The more you can control, such as your freight, your fuel, your expenses, you become more successful. You become more happier. It's easier to get that balance of home time and money. Some people like to go out the first of the week or first of the month, run their butts off for 3 weeks and take a week off. That's kind of how I did it at Landstar. Some people just like to do Monday through Friday, which is kind of how I did it at Schneider. Schneider, I was more 10 days on, 2 days off kind of a deal. In the spot market, 1 month it's Monday through Friday, and the next month it's 10 days out. Just depends on what the freight's doing, what the market's doing, what time of year it is. That's it. Leave your emotions at the door. Ain't no time for that. Right way to truck. Good morning. Now, I will say this. So there was a point, probably last week, where I was kind of stressing out a little bit. Once I knew that the APU wasn't coming on, I stressed a little bit. And, and look, my truck sitting's not doing me any favors. And I'm constantly torn between whether I should start running or concentrate on rig runners. And I'm in this weird limbo. And I'm not sure where it sets me up financially yet. So there's the stress that I have an 8-year-old truck sitting outside that needs to run, that needs to be embraced, needs to be loved. But I'm definitely not going to put anybody in the truck. And and if I sit here and let my emotions get to me, I'm ready to call it all off. You listen to too much of this YouTube crap, and you look at rates, and you look at this, and you look at that, and you can really get yourself in a dark place. And I've been there. But then I take a deep breath, take my emotions out, think of the worst case scenarios, come up with a plan, and then all of a sudden my blood pressure goes down. I'm no longer depressed, and I just, and now I can concentrate. Now I can focus on what I need to focus. All these, people call me all the time, Steve, what's your prediction for 2023? I don't know. Part of me says it's going to suck, but another part of me is going to be like, you know what? We have our natural cycles. I do know that equipment prices are going down. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I just brought my coffee. Urban Network Trucking Podcast says, I posted my truck TQL call load Scranton, PA to Miami, Florida. One drop, 830 miles next day. Atlanta, Georgia, last drop. Day after, 670 miles, 12 new Miami. I said 4,500. He hung up. That's not asking too much there, Urban. And so look, he hung up. Obviously, he's emotional, right? and you're laughing, right? So that's good. It's like, well, I tried. Yeah, let it sit. And if your business can survive saying no like that, then good on you, man. That's the thing. When people put themselves in a position where they can't say no, that's a difficult position to be in, regardless of what you're doing. Is it not worth considering putting a driver in that truck, Steve? No, I will not do that. Number one, the liability is through the roof. Number two, I don't know anybody that's not already got their own truck or driving that I would put in that truck. Because hiring drivers has been a losing game when it comes to fleets inside of fleets. Yeah, sorry guys. I keep forgetting to mute the mic. Now, if one of my best friends was in dire need, I might do that, but it's got to stay within the light trucking network. But that, man, no, that's a lot of liability. It's a lot of liability that I'm not willing to take that risk. Because while it there are problems with the truck sitting, there are more problems that, if it's running, 200, 180,000 miles a year. Also, it's an 8-year-old truck. And my goal was to pay off this truck, and if it needed to rot, it would rot. And I know that may not sound smart to some people, and it is kind of a safety net just in case, something happens with rig runners or me or whatever. Not that I'm predicting any of that, but you never know, right? So I would I'd rather have the headache that I have now than the headache of putting somebody in it. And to be honest, Will Burner, there's not enough money on the bone right now. There really isn't. Everybody I know that's done like 20 or 26% or 25% of line haul revenue off the spot market as a company driver, that's not enough money. If the average rate per day around here is about 800 a day, let's do some math. And I've done the math, Will Burner, but let's do some math here. So 800 times 0.80, because you get 80% here, 640 times 0.26, that's only $166 a day. So you divide that by 10-hour days, that's $16 an hour. I wouldn't drive my truck for $16 an hour. Screw that. And spend the 9 in it and have to have your own food. And that's not even counting fuel. So, as the truck owner, so what was that? 800 times 0.8, 640. Um, you know, depends on the load of whether I've gotten fuel or not, but eventually I'm going to get fuel. So there's just people have tried over at this company, and the math never works out ever, never, ever, ever. Especially with the rates we got now. Now, back when everything was $4 and $5 a mile, absolutely. So the only way I would put somebody in my truck, number one, I have to know who they are. They're going to get an extensive driving test, and I used to be a trainer, so I'm qualified to do that. But also, I would have to have like if a broker called me and said, Steve, I've got this steady Joplin to Springfield 2 a day. Can you do that? That would be a situation as long as I was guaranteed these loads for the next 2 months. That would be something I would put a driver in. But is that somebody I want to hire somebody for? Because what am I going to do 2 months from now when that gig's up? Or what if that gig suddenly goes away? So yeah, I have considered it, and it's not worth it. Would you go from spot market to ABF local driver? It would depend on the job. I know the ABF is having some issues right now. It would depend on what. If it was super local, then it just depend on what it paid. All right, James. Thanks for your input. No is a powerful word if you say it with no worries whatsoever, right? They are playing the capacity game, banking on us to be desperate. I'll deadhead before I haul it. I'm a Florida truck. It's already half a battle getting out of there, not hauling back for cheap too. Right? DIY, good morning. Math is hard, LVC. DIY, I appreciate you being a member. Math is hard. Oh, goody. I love math, right? I mean, Wilburn, you've been in the business for quite a while. Would you put somebody in a truck, or have you done that, or are you doing that? That'd be my question to you. Tell you what, I'll put the link out. Here, let's unshare this screen here. I'll put the link out. I got nothing else going on today. I mean, I don't want this to be a 4-hour deal, but I still have stuff to do. But if you guys want to discuss any thoughts, it doesn't have to be related to putting somebody in a truck. But you got to have a calm, cool mind. If when you talk to a broker, you got to be smooth, right? You got to be like, you can't be like, you can't be over emotional. You can't sound desperate. You don't want to be slow either. You don't want to like, well, let's see here. Well, do you think that we can be around? Let's see, 1,200. No, you don't want to be like that either. They'll be like, yeah, click. 18 to get 40 more. But if no one wants to come in, then we'll end this feed. But anyways, let's look at a load. We did van on the big screen here. Do. Here, let's do a reefer. Texas has been pretty good. What's up, Gary? Hello? Gary. Testing 1, 2. Gary. All right. All right. ABF and Old Dominion, in my opinion, are the best LTL carriers to work for. They work 7-day weeks, though, meaning new guys have to work weekends. There's a lot of decent paying day cab jobs around here. You've got Associated Wholesale Grocers. You have Highland Dairy. You have the Cokes and Pepsis. Obviously, there's some FedEx. There is a FedEx terminal here. We've got ABF. We've got Yellow Roadway. Gary, for listening, you were not coming through at all. And in Old Dominion, we got Old Dominion here, and AWG, you're put on a list. It's a union. Now your mic was on. I could hear some, Gary. I could hear some activity going. I just don't think you were connected. And that's LVC brings up a good point. LTL is kind of tanking. ABF is struggling. I know FedEx in some areas are struggling. I had a friend of mine that was with a FedEx contractor, and they, when it came time for contract renewal, they were like, the owner was like, "Wow, okay, that's not going to happen," and basically put up his whole business for sale. So I mean, it's not as secure as you think. And the union jobs, they're struggling as well. It's an old model that's going by the wayside. And while but AWG, I know guys that you're put on a sub route, right? You're the new guy. You're low on the totem pole, and you have to be on call. You got to be at the terminal within an hour. So no vacations, no family gatherings. You're on call basically until you get your own route. And some guys have been on call for sometimes 6 to 8 years. So I never went that route with that because I didn't. That doesn't sound like freedom. Oh, you need Monday off for doctor's appointment? Screw you. So I did a whole video about. You can look at my catalog about how should I get a day cab job? That's actually in the title. Am I getting a day cab job? So I weighed those options because there's plenty of opportunities to haul fuel around here. I know several people that are doing it. FedEx Freight did furloughs and aren't letting some guys work the docks anymore due to very low volume. Shuttle drivers count on dock work to supplement their paycheck. All right, are you there?
Well, I can hear you on the phone, but I don't know if you can hear me.
No, I still can't hear you. I don't think your Bluetooth is connected. So I'm kicking you out again. Currently, I just run my own truck, but for years we were on multi-truck operation. My biggest challenge was finding drivers I was willing to turn over 160 grand my equipment to, and that part alone, wheel burner, is the number one biggest challenge of hiring a driver, is hiring a good driver, because the way that you keep a good driver that is willing to bend over backwards to you is you got to pay them well once you find that person. And that is the challenge. Finding a good driver that's not going to abuse your equipment and allow you to be able to sleep at night. I just had I just heard about a scenario where a person had to go retrieve their truck in Dallas, Texas, and the guy trashed the truck out of anger, and this was a company that treated him good. I would work for this company. But there's a lot of mental illness right now, and this person went out of his way to trash the truck. And I'm telling you, if it's frustrating in my platform, since I don't have any dedicated lanes, I don't have any dedicated freight, my platform would be the spot market. Well, the spot market can be very frustrating. And you can't let a company driver, for the most part, there might be some exceptions to the rule, but you can't let a company driver dispatch himself, because they're going to do what they want. They're going to do the loads that they feel comfortable with. That may or may not be profitable to your truck. And so there's not enough meat on the bone for the driver, let alone the owner. But finding a good driver, finding someone that's got the right mindset that will take care of your equipment and take care of you, that's extremely difficult to find. Extremely difficult. Camera's got to be off if you're driving. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Can you
There
hear
you
me?
are. Yeah, you're finally on. What's up, man?
Hey, I was interested in the topic you introduced about, where is that level of risk tolerance to put the driver in a truck? What kind of risk tolerance on, purchasing trucks, drivers, uh, bringing drivers on. It just goes everywhere. I don't know. Is there a profit? Is there a profit margin that you think is appropriate to absorb? When you're booking loads or whatever, is there a normal amount of a profit that you need to comfortably um, flatten out your risk, to get to break even in your mind or your thought.
Um, it would depend on the situation. Like if you had a brand new truck, brand new trailer under warranty, um, you got the truck payment, trailer payment. Now, brand new truck, like a brand new 680, that's going to be about, an average of 7 to 8 miles a gallon. So that sure you're going to get a good fuel mileage truck with that. Um, and so at that point, if you got a good warranty, your truck, the profit needs to be enough to pay the truck and trailer and put some money in your pocket, and then also the driver. And usually there's not much room for error. Usually you're only looking at a possible 3 or 4%. Hold on a
Yeah,
second.
I've heard like an industry standard for brokerages, they'll take 20% off the top. So I don't know if that's consistent with what you've heard, but I've heard they'll take 20% off the top, and then I don't know if that should filter down to the truck as far as what the truck needs, if it's absorbing a risk of another driver, employing them or getting another truck, or so it's like those numbers are important to calculate and start your calculations from.
Well, there's a reason why a lot of these companies have lease deals, right? Because you're making the truck payment, you're making the plate payment, you're paying for the fuel, and so now there can be a profit margin, especially if you get the truck at a discount price, right? So if you get $160,000 truck for 120, and then you're charging the driver for the fuel and the truck payment, then all the expenses. That's why you see that model so popular, because that's where the profit margin comes from. Like my truck doesn't have a payment, but it's an 8-year-old truck with 700,000 miles on it. So obviously there's going to be some breakdowns, and the inconsistency of breakdowns is going to be, one day you can go out and blow the turbo, and then the next day you go out and a motor blows, or the next day you go out, the air compressor goes out, and so you can rack up the money pretty quickly. And so as an employer, I would look at the fact, well, what do I do? How do I have enough profit margin to take care of the driver if he has to go to a hotel? Now, if I was driving for a company and the company wasn't offering me a hotel um, and layover pay, then why would I work for them? And so, but if I make this person a quote unquote lease operator, now I don't have to, unless I just want to be nice. So that there's a reason why this 1099 and AB5 thing has kicked in, because they realize that there are drivers being taken advantage of. They're essentially company drivers, but they're paying all the bills. And so that's how they found a way around that profit margin. But the risk, that's the other thing. So if I put somebody in my truck, he goes out and takes out a family, they're going to go over that truck on the fine tooth comb. And if there's anything wrong with that truck, boom, now I'm in the lawsuit. It's my truck, my insurance. Even if the driver was at fault, it's still, even if he wasn't at fault, it could still fall on me.
Yeah, that's that's
And
so. If people have their own sense of risk tolerance that they're comfortable with, um, some people might be risk averse, and other people might be risk takers. So in the industry that we're talking about on trucking, then what is that risk number? Is that a 2% risk? Is that a 20% risk? Is that a 5% risk? That's the what's the market risk when individuals participate in something like that? Employ somebody or buy a truck, or I know each one of those parameters are a different market risk, but that's the question that I'm confronted with. I'm trying to think, what level of profit is required as far as percentage wise that goes into absorbing that risk. So that's and whether or not that's how brokers keep their rates and keep their percentage. They say they're absorbing risk.
there's no black and white number, I think, because if you look at where, okay, so there's two ways that I've seen that model succeed. You ready? Number one, brand new trucks and trailers on contract freight. That's number one, with a bigger company. Number two, being the guy oh, there's a guy at Landstar that does this. He's got a YouTube channel. I'm trying to remember his name. He buys trucks for $10,000-$20,000 and then fixes them up. He's got about 40 grand in the truck, and they're older trucks. They're non-DPF, and he can hire drivers doing that. But he's got Landstar's platform. Again, he's got another company's backing. But as and I know that James Best has had Oser in his truck, and I forget what the split is. I want to say it's 60-40. But again, that's a lease. It's not like, I don't think Oser is compensated for hotels. I don't think he's compensated if the truck goes down. So because he's quote unquote a lease 1099 guy. So, but as far as the actual black and white number, that's hard to pinpoint, because you have equipment failure, you have the maintenance, you have the paperwork such as the plate and that kind of stuff, and then you have and then you have to have money set aside for lawyer fees. You have money have set aside for if the driver goes down and needs a hotel room. You have to have money set aside for all these different things, and you still got to make the truck payment. You still got to make the trailer payment. And so, as Will Burner says, he said they paid very well. In some cases, I feel we spoiled our drivers, but they were damn hard for us to. We got out when the market changed. Let's see. Will Burner says after all of our costs, including the driver, we averaged 48 cents per mile to the company per truck. Some weeks a little less, some weeks a little more. As long as we made 1,400 a week per truck. And I don't know what Wheel Burner's platform was. I don't know if it was contract freight, if it was spot freight, if it was, you know, because you have your limitations going in and out of Canada to America. And there's
Yeah.
100% risk. Daniel Ladame makes a good point. It's 100% risk because one accident, and this is the same if you own the truck and you're driving it, or you own the truck and someone else is driving it. You have an accident. You have an accident, and it could be over. You know, and so Blue Ribbon Logistics. Yes, thank you, Pam and Sean. And so that the and then Sean says don't buy the Blue Ribbon BS. Numbers don't add up. There's got to my I've never watched one of their videos. I am subscribed to them, but I haven't really watched anything full through. But I do know that there's probably some revenue coming in from YouTube, but also he's got I've talked to somebody that works with him, and he's got a lot of this stuff at Landstar that's in the bag. In other words, it's not hitting the open low board. And so he's got this niche. So if you're an owner with 20 trucks and you hook up with the right agent at Landstar, you're golden. And so that's a lot harder to do in the spot market. You have to find the broker that you're willing to give all 20 of your trucks to, if you own multiple trucks or 5 or however many trucks, and just let him kind of dispatch and hope that the drivers, and see, that's the other thing. You have to have a driver that's not only safe, compliant, with a good head on their shoulders, but they got to be an anytime, anywhere type driver. Because if the only way to make money today is to go down to Miami, and they don't want to go to Miami, then what do? You're going to let that truck sit because the driver doesn't want to go down there?
Right.
So there's so much stuff when it comes to the spot market. All these tools, all these maps, they mean nothing if you're not an anytime, anywhere person.
Yeah, and that's what everybody needs to be if they're a driver.
And so 90% of the drivers I know, they won't do this, they won't do that, they won't go here, they won't go there. They won't drive on snow, they won't drive in the cold, they won't go down to Miami, they won't go out west, And so you have that, the human element. That's the other thing. People are like, well, I'll just hire 2 drivers. And you have to have a human element. That's what these mega carriers fail at, is there's no human element. In fact, companies don't care about the human element so much that they're willing to spend millions of dollars in equipment to try to take the driver out of the equation. That's what they think of drivers.
Yeah, and that's the cost of capital or the cost of doing business. It's how do you make your business more efficient? So the variable is the human. So get rid of them if you can support the cost that it takes to replace them, and that's another part of the picture.
Yep. Don says, what would scare me the most about hiring a driver would be killing a family and some big shot attorney getting through the LLC and taking my house. Yep. All of our outbound freight, says Will Burner, was from Canada, was contract, but we were using spot to get trucks back to Canada for the most part. And that's a normal operation. If I had a contract with the local shipper to haul anything out of Springfield going to like Michigan or going up to Wisconsin or going down to Florida. And then I just had to bring spot back. Then now I've got some numbers to go by, right? Number one, you go off your contract numbers, and then you look at the average rates you're going to get from the spot coming back. And if that's enough money, and you're pretty confident that that work will happen, then that's one obstacle that you've overcome. The second obstacle is the truck reliable to put yourself in that position? And then the third thing that you have to consider is the what ifs. What if the truck breaks down? What are you going to do? And so hotels can cost anywhere from, $100 to $200 a day. Because I guarantee if you put your company driver in a roach hotel for $40 a night, they're going to get pissed at you. So
Yeah.
and then you have to pay their daily rate. And I mean, there's just no way to really put a number on that. Especially in the spot market without any kind of contract. If you got contract freight, then you can do those numbers. And if the contract's good enough, you just drive them back empty, so you're not even dealing with the spot market. But to have somebody in my truck just working all willy nilly in the spot market, there's not enough meat on the bone for that. There's not enough security, and I don't have the capital to put somebody in a hotel for a week. I don't have the capital to pay their daily rate if the truck goes down. But it would be easy to make them go, hey, you're going to straight out lease this truck, and now that's all on you. Then there's some profit margin to work on, but you still have to have margins for me fixing the truck and all that. So so who's willing to take that risk? A really good driver is not going to sit there and like, oh, those bills are on me if the truck fails. Yeah, screw that. No, I wouldn't sign up for that. And I'm a good driver, so why would another good driver sign up for that? And that's where you get the anger sometimes of these people when they turn trucks in or they got to repo them.
Yeah. I'm trying to just parse apart, divide up some of these, I don't know what you call them, industry standards, so that I'm falling in line with other companies uh, on their profits, so that I'm not devaluating my company, and I'm not being exploitative, so that when I go to a shipper, I can say, hey, I really am worth $5 a mile, and to be a good bid for this company. When you go and get a contract versus a spot market.
Well, so here's the thing. And I run into this a lot of times. A lot of people, well, I'm worth $5 a mile. But what if the shipper simply can't pay that? And so if you've run into a
Well,
shipper, well, hold on.
can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, I hear this often, and it's used, at least in what I'm hearing often, is if you can't do it, it's time to go out of business. And that goes across every single business. That includes the shipper, that includes the broker, that includes the motor carrier. So, I mean, I'm just not sure why the motor carrier is always the one that's just go out of business. At least the rhetoric that I'm hearing and that I'm consuming. I'm not saying the whole world. I'm just saying I'm saying maybe the trucker world, as far as what I'm consuming. It's like why do I have to go out of business? It should, if these other companies aren't charging enough for their goods, then it's time for them to go out of business as well.
Well, okay, so let me play devil's advocate to that. So there's a company out of Ohio, I forget what their name was. They were running automotive freight. And as times got tough in the last recession, uh the automotive so this trucking company did very well. They were able to hire drivers. It was a perfect schedule. They had their operations all lined out. They had everything going well for them. And then so now you have what you're all your eggs in one basket. And so now that basket starts to shake. Now the shipper's like, you know what? We're struggling here. We have to cut costs. Can you cut down to this? And the company goes, well, we can either say no and lose work for 100 of our trucks, or we can bend over and say, okay, we'll take a 5% loss, of over what we're doing. Now, at the same time, fuel goes up, cost of maintenance equipment goes up, cost of equipment replacement goes up, and eventually they figure out that they can't make this work. And the problem is that the shipper has a ton of other trucking companies that they can use. I mean, look at the Walmart accounts. Sometimes like the Walmart, say like Sterling, Illinois, or uses Schneider. It was CR England at one time. You have Washington Corehouse. They use Schneider. And then another time it'll be U.S. Express because people are constantly outbidding each other. Now, the other element is you have to consider that no one really even talks about is the 3PLs. So P&G, Procter and Gamble, are like, you know what? Screw this stuff. We're not negotiating with these drivers. We're not negotiating with these trucking companies. We're going to put our stuff in a 3PL and let the rats feed off of that because that's what saves us the most money. So that way Procter and Gamble doesn't have to charge $10 for a bottle of shampoo. They can charge 4 because the cheapest companies are able to remove their cheapest freight. And so it's about cost analysis as well. Where you get the $4 and $5 a mile and you can go above whatever the market values are is when it's something out of the ordinary, like multiple stops. Because not everybody's willing to do that. Hey, it's a specialized thing. We have to take our trailers and add this extra brace for your product. Maybe it's an automotive. Maybe it's an automotive or like glass. Let's use Maverick in the glass runs. Maverick has to have specifically tailored equipment for this stuff. So they have that bid and they have security because there's not every flatbed company's got these glass hauling trailers. That's where you can ask for the primo money because that stuff's not going on a 3PL. It's not going on some broker board. It's specialized, either multiple stops or run in an area that no one wants to run, or it's specialized equipment. That's where you negotiate the higher rates. That's where it's worth it to try to find good drivers and put people in those trucks to help be a customer service to those kind of contracts. And so that's where you start lessening the risk of all the expenses because you're able to negotiate a primo rate that no one else can get to simply because they can't create that service. Now, how many drivers do you know that can haul glass? How many drivers do you know that want to do specialized LTL, multi-stop in California or something like that? Not too many. And so that's where that those are there's so many variables to that, and that's where you have to consider that.
Yeah, I'm just I'm thinking as far as my background, and some topics are coming up where there's like this um, you know bad on both sides. There's this, everybody wants to get rid of their logistics because their service, their transportation, their supply chain, they want to cut their costs to absolutely zero. So the shippers are cutting their cost, trying to cut their cost to absolute zero. Well, on the on the other side, the shipper or manufacturer um, should have, and this is they should have 10% of their capacity that they pay higher prices in order to have an emergency supply chain when, not if, when their supply chain, their main supply chain provider uh, has issues. And it's not if, it's when. It's always the same thing. It's going to happen. So they have to plan. So if the shipper doesn't have that 10% set aside that they're going to pay extra money for to keep their company alive, then that's bad management at the shipper. So I'm just like I'm having these thoughts go through my head on my background and what I've been taught about how this industry works.
When I was over at Transland, we switched CEOs. One son of the company owner was ousted, and then they brought in the next guy he was very successful outside of the trucking business. He was CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies, and his dad said, "Hey, I need you to run my company for me." So and so screwed it up, so he came over to Transland. And the first meeting that we had with him, he was like, I had no idea. I knew so little about how this world works. I mean, here's the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation coming into a trucking company and racking his head against the table because of all the different nuances and learning. And once he figured something out, it changed. Um, it's there's so many variables. There's so many variables, and so that's why I always go back to the basics. CDN says even if you feel your value is $5 a mile, the commodity to be hauled may not warrant that rate. Shippers need carriers need to find efficiency to bring your cost of operation down. And then he also said sometimes when a shipper pushes for lower freight costs is due to their competitors in their market. I've seen where a customer lost business due to competitors being closer, lower freight costs. So let's use Amazon as an example. If I go to so and so's bookstore.com and they want to charge me $20 to ship the book, but I can get it on Amazon and get free shipping because it happens to be part of a special, I'm going to go with that Amazon unless I'm specifically wanting to support my local bookstore.com or whatever. Well, when times are tough, finances are tight, you're going to have to go with this cheapest, right? And these pencil pushers at these companies, they don't have any moral values. They're not going to risk their career on, well, I want to support this guy because he's cool. No, they got to go with the cheapest number as possible. And the way this industry is rigged is for that. Last year containers went from $2,000 a shipping container to $14,000 a shipping container. And so shippers have had enough. And while granted the rates will eventually come back up, they will never ever be at the level that they were, barring some unforeseen dynamic event. We will never see the numbers that we had last year because that was too hard on everybody, including ourselves. If you go back and look at it, because when rates are sky high, everything else went up, and so it's there's so many variables. So it's not as just, and that's the mistake I see a lot of times. People are like, well, just put someone in your truck. And while I haven't done the exact math, I've done enough math and I've seen how the math works for everybody else that I've talked to that's done it. And it just doesn't add up for the risk versus reward. And even Wheelburner has said that they had to kind of give it up once the market changed. And that's the other element that you have to have is the market going to support that. There's so many companies that thought that this was going to be a good thing, and they've done it last year and the year before when rates are really good, and of course it supported it. Is that supporting it now? No, a lot of those companies are cutting pay or cutting their drivers because they can't afford them anymore. That's not job security. And if you want a good quality, good driver with the right head on his or her shoulders, they're going to want job security. They deserve job security, and you have to be able to supply that. And most people that I know can't.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about throwing in the literal inflation that's going on in the U.S. Even though the dollar is getting stronger as a currency elsewhere, it's still inflating or increasing costs, higher cost of operations. So in order to be a company that survives, dropping your prices all the way back below the inflated rate is actually devaluing the company that you have. So it's like, well, there's there that people just kind of shouldn't operate below because of inflation, and whether or not that's $5, uh, approximately $5 for each revenue, $5 of revenue per mile, or or if it's a penny, and that's where I'm thinking that people that I'm consuming content from sometimes aren't going to that level, because inflation is part of it, and it's where we as drivers or as a community have to, generally speaking, make sure to not undervalue our service to the shipper, because I don't want the rhetoric out there to put everybody out of business. I mean, because if you're looking at it from a carrier and not a broker, the brokers are going to push back, shippers push to get their shipping costs to zero. So it's not really even good
But
bad. It's just the business.
that's their job. Yeah, that's the broker's job. If I come in here, if I go into all the local shippers here with these flyers, for rig runners, and it's all like, yeah, we can do this for $5 a mile. They're like, no, you won't. Have a good day. Don't come back in here and throw my flyer in the trash. And that's just how it works. And that's the thing. Most people that have started a business haven't done the look. I want to open a record store. I really do. But I do the math, and I just can't make the math work. I look at the math, I look at the demand, I look at my competition, and then there's just no way for me to get it to work. I think you disconnected
Answer.
again, Gary. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
I got.
You got a phone call?
Hello.
All right. You're out.
Yeah,
All
yeah, I
right.
can hear you.
Okay, Gary, if you're done, come back in. But you know, you can win by working for less. What I mean is when the spot market is charging $5 a mile and you can haul it for 3, you can gain a long-term customer. How do you put a price on that? That's what, and that's difficult to do. You got to have equipment. You got to have stability. Gary, if you're listening, I thought you had a. I think you're having some technical issues again. Well, I mean, yeah, we'd sell CDs, but look, there's good money in vinyl right now. I mean, look, I know 2 local record stores that are very successful right now selling records. There's this whole retro movement going on where, and especially with metalheads, they buy the physical media. And what happens is you buy a record now, and now you got the little download for free, so you can have it in your phone, you can have it on your computer, but then you got the record for playing at home. There's a market for that now. Knowing that, I know this market. You can go to Walmart and buy records now. There's a reason. I mean, if records weren't selling, they wouldn't do that. So, but yeah, CDs as well. But records is where the money is. But if the local store has to pay $30 a pop from their supplier, and you can literally buy them at Walmart for $30, then where's the profit margin coming from? Well, it's coming from used records. Well, you got to have the time and the patience to go sort through everybody's Lawrence Welk records to find the 1 or 2 good, you know, things that might be sellable if they're in good condition. So, but that's a different topic for a different day. All I know is that I've done the math on putting someone in my truck, and it just doesn't. There's just not enough meat on the bone, let alone enough meat to qualify the risk, and I would have trouble finding a good driver. Wheel burner. We made the decision to go back down to 1 truck because when it came time to replace equipment, the equipment prices were too outrageous and the rates don't support it. There you go. How did your guest come up with $5 a mile? Why is he stuck on 5? How many direct sales calls has he made the past few months? So if you go earlier in this chat, CDN, Gary Bates has his own channel. He would have to explain it. That's the guest. His name is Gary Bates. So, but right. I mean, look, and you're willing to pay that. Not so it's I had a friend of mine that passed away that had a good record store, and he knew the right people. He knew the right collectors. He was connected on a level that I will never be. And he was very successful. It was only family members that took him out, and then later on he passed away. So, but anyways, guys, there's some good rates this week. Just stay in the high volume areas. Let's go ahead and look at that for a second. Here's the vans. Let's refresh this. Stay out of Cali. Stay out of Arizona. Arkansas is not too bad. Look at Florida on van. Holy crap. 2,100 in, 2,000 coming out. So get your money going into Florida, guys. You'll probably get a decent money coming out. Georgia's on fire. Look at Illinois, 28.49 in and 45.24 coming out. Holy crap. That's a lot of freight, guys. Michigan looks good. Missouri looks good. Ohio 2808 going in and 3443 coming out. Let's look at reefer. Arkansas is good. Cali's a little bit better on the ratios. Florida's doing good. Let's see, Georgia's good, not as well as Van. Illinois, Indiana, same states, guys. It's like a broken record. Speaking of records, Missouri's good. Mississippi's not bad. North Dakota, 106 in, 310 coming out. A lot of that's freeze protect. Problem with some freeze protect loads, if it's water or soda, it could put you overweight. Pennsylvania kind of sucks. Texas is really good. Wow. Wisconsin always. So found one paying $1,200 for 160 miles. St. Louis. Wish my truck was up. I'd grab it. I spent a small fortune in my younger years. Excuse me. Jeez. On concerts, records, or cover charges, bar tabs. Yeah, that was me. I won't even tell you what my music collection's worth. All right, guys. I'm out of here. So I don't know if I'll be live consistently this week. I've got some business stuff I have to take care of this week, so who knows? Maybe we'll go live in the morning, see what volumes are looking like. Thanks for watching, guys. I know this has been one of the longer ones. Seems to be what happens when I have nothing to talk about. So, with that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Stay well, stay warm, and stay profitable. Peace.